gentlemen, 48-4 Jersey down.
Adrian Peterson is loose. Oh my heavens! Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Why do you even ponder passing? That's gotta work, huh? That's gotta work! How do you like that?
5 shot 3, 1, 2, 3, fire!
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in to Bleeding Purple, a podcast about the Minnesota Vikings. My name is Tyler Haig, and I am joined, as always, by Mr. Adam Patrick. How's it going, buddy?
That's good. I'm just excited about the big news today for the Vikings. If you haven't heard.
What big news is that?
Oh, they re-signed Amir Abdullah.
Yes, that's huge news. I'm so glad you
signing.
brought that up. I put it on the list. We didn't discuss it previously, but yeah,
Super Bowl.
You know, and I also saw a report from Chris Thomason that says he's ready to be more than just a kick returner or punt returner or whatever the bleep he was doing. Where I stopped remembering that he was even on the team. But at this point, honestly, he is the number 2 running back, basically, on this football team.
Maybe Mike Boone.
Oh, yeah, you're right, Boone. I forget that Boone. Rock Thomas, question mark.
His time with the Vikings is a little up in smoke, so,
Ooh, well done, sir. Well done. Actually, realistically, since we talked last, lots of news has happened. The most, I don't want to say important, but the biggest news is last week we were talking about how Anthony Barr was going to be a New York Jet, and oh my gosh, what are they going to do? Do they now draft at 18? Not a problem anymore, Adam, because Anthony Barr is coming back. He changed his mind. He said he was about to throw up, and that was
worst day of his life. Tells you a lot about the Jets.
Yeah. I wanted to go down that road for a little bit because this is not the first time that this has happened with the Jets and the Vikings and players. And
that's how you get more money. You pretend like you're going to the Jets, and then the Vikings are like, wait. Well,
hang on. Send a Jet over there. Now that you've seen it, are you cool? Do you want to come back here? And Anthony Barr's like, yes, and I'm sorry. And not that, obviously, that's not how it happened. But yeah, Anthony Barr is going to be coming back. What do you think? Well, first of all, what do you think about the move in general? Like, yay, Anthony Barr's back. That was my initial reaction, was like, oh, cool, one of us. Like, yeah, bro, come on. We love you still, and, we're a happy family. Later on, I thought different things about it. What was your initial reaction to it?
Oh, I think everyone was preparing themselves, mostly, the entire season of him leaving, so we weren't looking at him maybe in the most positive light as we could have, because we're all just like, he's leaving anyways. Who cares?
This is natural human reaction, by the way, to when you're going to lose a player to be like, but here are all the things that we didn't like that he was doing, and so feel better about it. These are normal things. I saw there was a lot of clapback on Twitter after the flip where people were calling other people out for saying not so nice things about Anthony Barr. We were just grieving. We were just getting through it, man.
And I don't think I was ever one to say he's a bad player. I just don't read into people are like, oh, he made 4 straight Pro Bowls, and I'm like, Mitch Trubisky made a Pro Bowl last year, so that's not and then him playing a lot different than he did in his first 2 years, and I mean that's pretty obvious. I just didn't think that he was maybe worth the amount of money that he was going to be able to get from the Vikings or elsewhere, but based on the market this year, the backup linebacker for the Vikings probably could have got a very good deal out there. But yeah, I'm actually more impressed with Anthony Barr after his decision, because I thought he was more of a guy who might have been more about the money rather than thinking about the team as a whole. Mm-hmm. And he said he likes the Vikings and everything they've done and what they have moving forward. I mean, he's still getting paid a lot of money, so it's not. Forget about that. It's not like he took a huge pay cut or whatever from not going to the Jets. He's still getting
definitely took
less money,
noticeable amount of less money than he could have, which is admirable if you're looking team first. I get that. I totally agree with you. I completely agree. And the way his camp was talking this whole time was he's an edge rusher. He needs to get paid like an edge rusher. And then it was all of a sudden they were okay with him not being that. And then in his press conference, Anthony Barr was very yeah, man, whatever role they give me is cool. I've been successful in this role. It's like, but wait, you didn't just. That was not the thing that you were saying.
I think he knows how good of like a defensive coach Mike Zimmer is, and how hard it probably is to play in a defense that the Vikings have right now with all the talent that they have on defense. Like he could have gone to the Jets, and who knows like how good or bad that defense would have been. They added some people, but Greg Williams is in charge of that defense. That's a whole another story. Probably another reason why Barr was like, yeah, I don't think so. But yeah,
I can tell you, it'd take me one meeting with him to be like, nah, I'm good. No,
I honestly, if you ask me, I don't even know how he still has a job in the NFL. He shouldn't be in the NFL, but whatever.
He was like in charge of the Browns last year.
I know.
Like, it's shocking how he's been able to keep doing.
But when your head coach is Hugh Jackson, anyone looks like
fair point.
A pot of gold after that. So
fair point.
I think I respect Anthony Barr more now than I did before. I thought he was more of a me first kind of guy, and that doesn't seem to be the case. And that's on me for thinking that way, obviously. But now I don't think I was able to think that way because he's not a very public person.
Yeah. And
even when he is interviewed, his answers are very pretty short and just the usual cliches. But
yeah. Well,
I feel like he opened up a lot in the press conference and like revealed a lot, about his way of thinking about coming back to the Vikings and stuff that people probably didn't think was going through his head.
100%. And I think that this is also it's important for us to notice this because the information that we are getting fed is designed. There's a reason you're getting that information. It's helping or hurting, or it's, there's a reason that this stuff is being leaked out. And so it is important for us as fans to recognize that these guys aren't always as we perceive them to be, whether that's good or bad or whatever. It's not always the case. And I think you're right. I think that Anthony Barr was kind of, I don't want to say a victim, but they were trying to get him edge rusher money, and it made him look like kind of a jerk to some of the fans, and that isn't necessarily how he actually thinks or how he feels, but it was going to get him more money, and so that was the play.
Yeah. I do think moving forward, though, they have to figure out some different ways to use him now that they know he's going to be there for a while, and Everson Griffin's probably in the back of his career, try and figure out more ways for Barr to rush the passer and not make it so obvious, like, create some different packages, maybe line him up on the defensive line every, few snaps or whatever. Just he's got those skills, and everyone knows it. So might as well utilize him. But I know he has another role in the defense, and Mike Zimmer's basically made him he's got the green dot on his helmet, so he's the guy that relays all the play calls and everything to everyone. So he has a big role.
Yeah.
So.
No, I don't know. We talked about it last week, but it kind of bugs me that we're all just assuming that him as an edge rusher is going to be crazy successful, and we don't necessarily know that. It's one thing to have a guy lined up as a D end, and then it's a completely different thing to look at an Anthony Barr and never really know for sure if he's coming or not. I think that helps as far as his pass rushing is concerned. But yeah, I think you're right. I think utilizing him in different ways is going to help the defense long term. And he is, as you said, a skilled enough player and a versatile enough dude where you can do that with him. And that, I'm sure, Zimmer has been looking into for a long time, and perhaps was the reason that he came back in the first place. Because second part of this was, do you think that this was Zimmer basically being like, come on, go get him and bring him back? Or do you think it was Barr being like, just kidding, like, I want to come back and I'm sorry?
Well, did Sheldon Richardson sign before? Well, or did this happen around a similar amount of time where Sheldon Richardson left too? Because they both left, and Zimmer was probably like, come on, we can't lose both of these guys
has to come back. Yes, we need one of them back. I don't know. I was going to write down the timeline of things because of questions like this.
And Barr has been with the Vikings longer than Richardson, so if they were going to pick one or the other, I'm not surprised they went with Barr, especially him being, Mike Zimmer's first draft pick or whatever. But no, I think those two have a good relationship, no matter how hard Zimmer has been on Barr in the past. Barr said in his press conference like he'd go to war for Zimmer, and he's not the first person on the Vikings to say that. They respect him a lot, and he does good work. So there's a reason why these guys keep coming back and maybe taking less money than they probably could have gotten elsewhere.
For sure. And they all
talk about
fire. They all talk about culture. What a great group they have. Yep. Example of that would be guys leaving and then coming back because they miss it. One of those that happened recently. Shamar, Stephen Steven came back. What do you make of this move? And also, bigger picture, do you think this money would be better spent on offensive linemen, or do you think that taking the defense back, I mean, that we can talk at length about that in a second, but let's talk a little bit about...
Well, first I want to ask you, why did the Vikings make it seem like Shamar Stephen was like a huge signing? Like they had like all the video package stuff with him and interview and press conference, and I'm like,
very perplexed.
Is he even going to start?
I've been very perplexed with their choice of like video montage, like who they're giving it to, who they're not giving it to. Very strange
like
to
Barr,
me.
Okay, sure.
But this one was. We were led to believe that this was a huge signing, and I don't know if it's.
I don't remember him being amazing when he was with the Vikings.
No.
He did start a bunch of games for the Seahawks, but I don't remember him being amazing for them either. But
I don't.
Maybe it's the whole rejoining the Vikings thing. But
I think it was. I think it was like a one of us thing. Like, remember, he was here and now he's back. Family. See.
So, yeah, I guess it's just it was just weird. I'm like, what? Why? What?
I felt the same way. I was like, I'm supposed to be this hyped about this signing? And I'm to the point now with the like offensive line situation where I have now turned where I'm seeing Viking videos and I'm like, but it's not an offensive lineman.
Yeah,
I want to comment on Twitter, random Twitter threads like, but not offensive line when it doesn't apply. Like I've turned. The off season has taken me at him.
I think I've realized this at least though, but the offensive linemen that were available in free agency this year, probably not worth the Vikings overspending on because a lot of teams are doing that this year. Like, let's talk about how much money Nick Easton just got from the New Orleans Saints, and he didn't even play last year.
He has a neck injury or back injury or something.
He's coming off a neck surgery,
and that was the amount of money he got. It's obscene.
Yeah, $4 for $24 million. I mean, he's not going to probably not see all that, but still to get a 4-year deal. When you've started 17 games in your entire career, you haven't played in a year. You were okay when you were with the Vikings, and he's going to play center. He's going to play center too for the Saints.
It's like going to you go to the guitar store with $100. So when you're like, I'm going to get a guitar, and then you get in there and you're like, oh my god, I'm not even close to getting a guitar.
That's not enough. That's good for like a strap. But
that's what I would say. Yeah, you can get one really nice strap, and that would be all.
They don't have a lot of money to overspend, so if they can get other positions filled with what they have and not overspend in other areas like offensive line, then I think that's what they should do, and I think that's what they are doing. Re-signing Amir Abdullah. They are looking into some free agent offensive linemen reportedly, but none of them are going to blow anyone away, and there's a reason why they're free agents.
That's what I was just going to say, why they're free agents and why they're available now and why people aren't overpaying for these guys.
The best option for them may be just to focus on the draft.
I think it's their only option at this point. Well, you mentioned it. Easton gone, Compton gone.
Yep.
Really the only practical option at this point with a $2 million cap space remaining is to.
I saw it today was $5 million, so I don't know. Somebody said it was $9 million. I'm like,
$9 million. That seems like a number that we could do something with.
But
$2 million,
I
$5 million is come on.
I saw 9. I saw 5. I've seen 2. I'm like.
Dude,
does anyone know?
I don't know if anybody knows. And I've been doing the same thing where I go from site to site to site. And it's over the cap. I just have settled on them because that seems to be the one that other people use. Yeah. So I will go with that. They say 2. I don't know.
Yeah. And it messes me up too because I'm trying to when I'm trying to prove people wrong with something like, oh, this it'll count so much against his cap if they trade him or whatever.
And they're like, I don't know.
No, actually, it's not.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'll believe you if it's a good enough explanation. So yes, we're losing. I shouldn't say losing, but all kinds of players are not signing with the Vikings. Players that are meh, but that's where we're at with the salary cap. So Latavius Murray, Gonzo, Sheldon Richardson. That one we kind of knew.
Yeah, he was going to get the money.
Yeah,
that was the whole point of him being with the Vikings for 1 year.
And we're going to talk about Cleveland in a little bit. He went to Cleveland. That's crazy.
Super Bowl.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited for them though, because poor Cleveland Browns fans. It's going to be so great. Yes, but at least for now they are enjoying themselves, and that's a really exciting time. That's
season
really
champs.
Cool. So Latavius Murray, Gonzo. Did he go to New Orleans?
Yeah.
Okay. Also, Teddy Bridgewater to New Orleans.
Yeah, he didn't want to go to Miami, or Miami didn't want him.
I can't blame him if it was his decision. Also, can't really. Well, yeah, no, I can totally blame Miami because who did they go with? Fitzpatrick was who they signed today. So have fun with that, guys. And also, what a gig! What a life for Ryan Fitzpatrick.
He's been in the league since 2005.
Just slamming.
Never played in the playoffs.
You're kidding. Nope. Oh, poor guy.
He's been with the Bills, the Texans, what was it?
Always the backup.
When he was with the Texans, I don't think they made the playoffs. Yeah. The Jets, now the Dolphins. He's been in every team on the AFC East, and Tom Brady's been with the same team.
He's just
the whole time.
But yeah, so that's where Miami went. I don't know. Can't blame him for that. Teddy's got a lot to prove. Here's my biggest fear maybe is Teddy Bridgewater going to New Orleans, Drew Brees retiring, and Teddy Bridgewater being just a beast and eating up the NFC for years. And
that would be the only time I'd ever root for the Saints.
Yeah, and I still don't even know if I'd be able to root for him.
It's really hard to root against Teddy.
It is.
He has to murder someone for me not to.
And even then, I'd be like, "But what were the circumstances?
Yeah,
was it self-defense? Are you sure? Because he's
Let's get all the evidence. Let's
let's not rush.
Unlike Tyreek Hill, when we're all like, fire him. But
fire him. What else, Teddy? We talked about.
Now the Vikings guard situation. They have Danny Isidora, and that's it.
And that end of list. Yeah, man. Pat
Elflein can play guard.
But then who's your center?
Avian Collins can play guard, maybe.
Oh, yeah, Cornelius Edison looked okay. That was also at the same time where guys like Tom Compton looked pretty good, and guys like Remmers and Reef looked, in training camp, where everybody looked pretty good.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if Cornelius Edison is very good, but he is one guy from the preseason last year that I actually remember and being like, that dude I wouldn't have a problem with.
And we also have to think about, their new offensive coaches. Maybe they didn't think, I think the Vikings wanted Easton back. They just couldn't. He became out of their price range with the Saints. They weren't going to give him that much money.
God, dude, think about that. Nick Easton just was too expensive for
it was weird because Ian Rappaport was talking about it on NFL Network and stuff. I'm like, is Nick Easton?
Are we talking about the same guy? Is this the same offensive lineman who was unable to play last year? Yeah, man. It's terrifying. Here, I guess the big question for the offensive line and with the Vikings is...
There's only one?
There's many different ones. You could literally position by position. You could go down one by one and go through questions. But big questions... Do you think... Well, first of all, I think this group in the old system, not good enough. We don't need...
They weren't good with the players that they lost.
That's what I'm saying. And those guys are all gone now, and now it's this group. That worries me a lot. But this isn't that system, that offense. This is a new offense.
DeFilippo system.
It is difficult for me to believe that those players are going to be that much better because the offensive line, and we've been saying it for years, the offensive line doesn't have to be great. It just has to be serviceable. It just has to be okay. Pat Shurmur figured out a way to do that. I think Kubiak can figure out a way to do that.
Oh, yeah.
But with this group, so here to me the biggest question is, do you think with this group and you add in a couple of draft picks, couple 3 at max, do you think that is good enough?
7.
Do you think that 7 draft picks of offensive linemen only and the group they have right now, do you think that's a good enough group to get them where they want to go?
I think it can be, because I think what a lot of people don't realize is that offensive line, like, it's very rare to have an offensive lineman that is good no matter what scheme, like an Orlando Pace or Jonathan Ogden, like those kind of guys. Like, they're going to be good no matter what system they play in, because they're just good.
Yeah.
But, you get average guys like Riley Reif and, Pat Elflein. It really doesn't, those guys, the scheme makes a lot of the difference. And I think, with Kubiak getting in there and Dennison and switching to their scheme. Oh, and Kevin Stefanski, let's not forget about him. He is the offensive coordinator. But I think scheme makes a lot more of a difference with offensive line play than the actual talent level of offensive linemen.
You nailed it. That is 100% it. The system means more than the skill of the group that you have. So I do think, now, I'm definitely sliding closer towards the I don't think this group is good enough no matter what system we're looking at camp. But I'm not there yet. And I do think that they could, even with the guys that they have and the guys that they can draft, even if it's 2 dudes in the early rounds, God, I hope, in the early rounds.
First 3.
I think that you could get a serviceable group out of this. Because, again, they don't have to be amazing. They just have to not be a catastrophe. Yes, it's a great example. Great example.
Pat Elflein.
Yes. And those guys are going to be better in this system than they were because they are smaller and more mobile.
I think Brian O'Neill's going to be very good.
He's going to be a stud. I'm so excited. System.
He's very athletic. But I suggested, like, before free agency even started, well, it might have been in the middle of free agency, that I thought the Vikings would release Riley Reif because it would free up a lot of cap space, and they can't do that anymore because Easton is gone. So they can't. I don't think they can afford to do that. No. What they can afford to do is look into trading a cornerback whose name rhymes with Schwain.
That was a really good rhyme. You should be an MC. I think you should. Maybe put out an album.
I do have GarageBand. So.
Album, hey, dude, we could do that. Actually, hang on, quick.
Put me on auto-tune?
1 second. Dude, get in there. You want freestyle now? Can you hear the music?
No, I'm good. I can't hear it.
Cool. Well, go back and listen to it after we're done with this, and it's fire. So you can just loop that and practice with it, and then next week we'll do freestyles. Trey Waynes on the trading block. At this point, I kind of wrote a little bit about it in like a Panic Report article, but they have to have another move. There's no way they can.
They have to.
They have to. They
can't afford their rookie class.
I was going to ask you this, and I've been searching, and I cannot find it. What is the total amount of this draft class going to be? Obviously, it depends on how many picks you have, but
usually it's around like $4 to $6 million.
That's what I was going to say. It has to be over $3 million, and they're sitting on 2.3 or 10, depending on who you ask.
Yeah, and then they have to worry about, like in training camp, if someone gets hurt, and they have to have money to sign somebody in case that happens. And then, are they going to extend Thielen? So either they need to trade Trey Waynes, or they need to extend him and lower his cap hit for next year.
Or cut Kyle Rudolph.
That's not going to happen.
I don't think so either, but that would be.
They might do that for him though. They might extend Kyle Rudolph and lower his cap hit for next year, and then maybe try and restructure Reif too. So I'm sure there's some workings going on behind the scenes right now. I know I saw something today where they're trying to figure out how to extend Thielen, but obviously they need the money to do that.
Do you think people would go nuts? Are people going to be frustrated that they're extending Thielen and not dealing with the offensive line? Like is power cake.
They will because anything not having to do with the offensive line is like
total.
Yeah, it's the absolute worst for the casual fan or whatever. But they have to extend Thielen. He's worth a lot more. You want your guys to be happy. I'm sure he's very happy right now with the money that he makes, but He's going to want more next year. His price tag's only probably going to get higher.
That, I think, is maybe the best point, is that if you don't do it now, he's just going to get better, and you're going to have to pay him more.
And it's going to be like, the Patriots want to trade for him. And it's like, gosh.
Never trade with the Patriots, ever. Yeah, I mean, at this point, would you be disappointed that they are trading a corner, or do you think they're so hosed from a cap standpoint?
So they can draft one in the first round.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, there you go. 18, no problem. Just draft another corner.
Oh my god,
that'll be fine. I don't see any issue with
no
that.
No one would freak out about that.
It wouldn't even.
No,
not a big deal at all. Who
I would
else?
love that, just to see everything just burst into flames, just everyone freaking out.
You know,
just because there's only one. The first round is only like one. It's only one day, so you have a whole day to freak
full
out.
24 hours. Yes, you're totally right. I forget about that every year. Oh man, I think they have to. I also though think from a defensive back standpoint. I mean, Marcus Sherrills was playing last year because they didn't have depth, and you got guys coming off of ACLs. You got guys who, I mean, it feels like there's a lot of depth there, but I don't know if getting rid of one of those guys so you can bring in
well, I mean, if they trade Trey Waynes, they're gonna get another draft pick in exchange.
Yeah,
and probably a decent one, a third or a fourth.
I was gonna say, what do you think that would be? A third, fourth, fifth?
They would be lucky, very lucky, to get a second. There's a couple teams that have multiple second round picks. I think the Colts who are actually interested in trading for a corner. So,
dude, if they could get a second round pick, I am.
Oh yeah, you take that.
I'm for that.
Even if they get a third round pick, I think it's a good deal because for those picks, rounds 1 through 3, they're usually pretty good. End up being pretty good players in the NFL, solid contributors. And then the Vikings are pretty good at snagging guys off. The market that haven't been drafted too. So,
but what are they going to pay him with?
Yeah, and then I wouldn't be as worried about corners because of who their head coach is, and they've had the same DB coach the entire time that Mike Zimmer's been there.
For me, that's the only argument to trading a corner, and the depth issue is that's what our head coach is good at. If he's not able to turn some guys who aren't supposed to be good into serviceable, decent players, then
he made Adam Jones into like a Pro Bowl corner.
It's true. Oh, dude, what about Perfect? Bring him in, right?
No. What did I see? Florio suggested that today? Yeah. Get out of here.
Love it.
Get out of here.
Love it. I'm sure it was his best years were with Zimmer.
Where's he even going to play?
That's everybody in that whole system.
If the Vikings want someone to like go into the other team's locker room and like beat everyone up, then sign him. But otherwise, they don't really have a spot for him on their roster.
Yeah, that's probably a better idea. Actually, is just kind of pay him under the table and
we need you.
People up.
Yeah, like just put him in like put some pantyhose on his head or something so no one knows who he is.
They're football players. They wear the helmets with the masks, so nobody can tell anyways. Unless you're like a rock star, nobody knows.
Yeah.
What else should we discuss? Everson Griffin, restructure. He will be back. That's exciting, but this feels kind of like the beginning of the end.
Wasn't
for
a
Everson
lot.
Griffin, doesn't it? No, it wasn't a lot.
Like it was like 3 or 4 million they freed up. I thought they would free up a little bit more.
I don't know why I had paying him $1 million was like in my head, but when it wasn't $1 million, I don't know where it came from. But when it wasn't $1 million and it was that much more than $1 million, I was like,
I don't even know if that's the league minimum at his age.
I'm sure you're right. You're right, and that's not even an option. But for whatever reason, that was the number in my brain. I was like, 1.7 mil, no problem. Ev, thanks for taking the discount. We're gonna go get an offensive lineman. Yeah, not so much.
Yeah. Especially not when the team is built around defense.
Yeah. Who else? Speaking of offensive linemen, Matt Khalil.
Whoops.
My God.
He's fallen from grace, huh?
So shockingly, he is. Well, I guess it is kind of shocking that he was released because of the dead cap money. But
Blake Bortles to the Rams, by the way.
No.
Yeah.
Blake Bortles. I mean, if anybody can make Blake Bortles successful, if Sean McVay can't do it,
I mean, that's a good gig. That's a good gig to be a backup.
It's the best gig to be a backup.
Yeah.
And also, Bortles has been like just loving life this whole time. I mean, a lot of smack talk thrown around, but
he's been a trooper.
Quadrillionaire, and you were in Jacksonville, and like nothing ever happened.
Now he's going to LA.
Yeah, and now you get to live in LA and just like hang out and watch this incredible offense, try and learn a little bit. What a gig. But yeah, Matt Khalil, no longer playing football, currently employed. Yeah. Large cap hit happening because of that as a dead money move, meaning...
Is it? No, I think they did a June 1... I think they might have done a June 1 designation.
Okay.
So it might the cap... But either way, he's released.
He's released.
He's gone.
They just signed him last offseason, right?
2017, yeah.
2017, yeah. So,
So two off seasons.
2 off seasons ago. So rough, brutal. Sorry,
it was like 4 or 5 years for $55 million. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was never going to get all that.
If you'll remember, he was not pushed hard enough here.
Yeah,
or so he says.
Yeah,
that now that he had some real coaches.
Well, when he joined the Panthers, he was in the best shape of his life.
Mm.
So. And then
you're definitely in the best shape of your life when you own that many pizza joints. Come on now.
And then he missed all last year with a knee injury.
Super fun, Matt Khalil. Bye.
Pro Bowl. It's Pro Bowl, though.
Yeah, that's true. That 1 year. That was a great year. What do you make of Andrew Sendejo going to the Eagles?
First off, he would.
That's what I was just going to say. Just flipped. Like, you just made the list, Andrew Sendejo.
Yeah, he's going to be, now he's going to be like, I think the Eagles are playing the Vikings next year. What, the rumored Thanksgiving game? So, Diggs and Thielen, please keep your head on a swivel, because he's not going to care at all if he gets flagged, and I don't think the Eagles are going to care at all if he gets flagged for knocking one of those guys out.
He will be public enemy number 1 if he destroys one of our wonderful wide receivers.
Oh, yeah. He's going to be amped up to play.
Yes, he will. He will want to. That's how he plays football.
Because the Vikings said, no thanks.
You're not good enough. That was what they said to him. Oh, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But not a big fan.
Yeah.
But I can't. I mean, how much playing time is he going to get there? Probably not a ton. And B,
there's a reason why he was like,
that's exactly right. And
if you can't succeed in the Vikings defense, which is geared around defensive backs, then you're probably not that good.
You're probably going to have a tough time excelling in any other spot. Philly's good. Maybe he'll play well. I don't know. Like, good luck or whatever. But, like, come on, dude.
He's going to have at least one good game, and that's going to be against the Vikings. Just like whenever Percy Harvin would play the Vikings, he would that would be like his only game that he plays every year.
I was just going to say that. He missed the majority of the rest of the season, but
the Vikings are coming down. I am going to be healthy.
Make sure he'd stick it.
But he played against them, It was the Seahawks, the Jets. Did he play against them when he was with the Bills?
I think so. I remember a Bills game with him involved.
Every time that his team played the Vikings, he made sure he was healthy.
He was so good for a stretch.
Oh,
It was so fun to watch. Really unfortunate. I guess, let's open it up. Let's do some bigger questions here, Adam.
All right.
What do you think the Vikings need? Obviously, offensive linemen. But what do you think, big picture, their next move is? Do you think it's a trade? Do you think it's just draft these guys and see what you got? Do you think it's what do you think the next play is here?
Well, they have to clear up some cap space, so they have to figure that out.
They have to be able to pay their draft picks.
Yeah, whether it's
I hope
a trade. I think they should try and trade Trey Waynes. I think what they can get for him right now is probably what they'll be able to get the most for him at any point in time. So they should try and do that. That'll clear up $9 million. They should try and restructure Kyle Rudolph. Try and restructure Riley Reif. If he doesn't want to restructure, then releasing him would not be the worst thing in the world. It really would not.
Can you play football games when you only have 3 offensive linemen?
But releasing him frees up cap space to sign someone.
Great point. Doesn't he though? Wouldn't he have a dead cap situation? If
a little
they
bit,
were to?
but it's spread out over 2 years, I believe. So I think like if they gave him a June 1 designation, it would be like $2 million this year and $4 million next year, something like that. Okay. It would feel like $9 million. So.
And that would be enough to sign your draft picks, which is basically all we're looking for.
They don't have a kicker right now, so
fair point.
They need to figure that out. Hopefully, it will not be them drafting.
They're definitely drafting.
If they like a rookie kicker,
they're definitely
do not draft him. Sign an undrafted free agent. The luck of either of those players succeeding will probably be around the same. So please do not waste a draft pick on a kicker.
Just take an offensive lineman if you're going to do that. Just make everybody happier and just do
when all else fails, just backup quarterback.
Do you real question. Do you think that or let me start over. Do you still have confidence in the people making these decisions that what they're doing can work out for the best interest of the team, or are you starting to think that maybe they're not sure what they're doing and that this whole thing is a disaster? Because I still feel like people, I guess Rick Spielman or Zimmer or whoever, but I feel like even though people who are complaining about this stuff, I don't get the sense from angry people on Twitter that they think Spielman's incompetent. They just think they're being neglectful. Does that make sense? That's a strange way to put it, but
I also think some of the people that are saying that haven't been maybe following the Vikings as long and aren't familiar with Spielman's lack of success when it comes to fixing the offensive line.
Or especially fixing it like through the draft.
Through the draft, I mean, he signed Andre Smith, Alex Boone, Riley Reif, Mike Remmers. Like, none of these guys have really worked out. So
you can make an argument for Reif and Remmers because they played so much, but when that's how you're basing the argument is, well, they got a lot of starts in, then like Tom Compton's on the list, and that you're in rough territory. But do you personally think that they are like competent right now, like they have a plan, or do you think they're kind of throwing this whole thing like away?
No, I do. I just know they took a risk on signing Kirk Cousins to a big contract, and they knew they're going to have not a lot of cap space. And I don't think this is a situation that they've been in since Spielman became the GM. I think they've always had like at least a good amount of cap space to work with. Yeah. But Kirk takes up a bunch of space. There's no doubts about that or ifs and buts or whatever. So it's a new situation for Spielman and Brzezinski. So they're trying to figure out what they can do with what they have, and I think it's just people have to have patience because the season is very far away.
For sure.
I don't think they're going to miss out on any free agents because
none that would make you.
Yeah, because all like the ones that maybe might have had an impact are probably signed already.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that completely. And you could even make an argument that there was only like 3 impact guys available ever, period, during this like free agent thing. I agree with you. I think I don't think they're incompetent.
No.
But I'm starting to wonder if
it's just weird. It is weird how Spielman's just sucked at trying to fix the offensive line the whole time.
It's been tough, and you could make an argument that part of it was neglect, or that they thought they were going to be able to fix it with free agents and pay a little bit extra to make that happen. But if you keep some perspective, if signing Kirk Cousins leads you to a cap crunch that forces you to drop out of the bidding for Nick Easton because he was too expensive, then that's a fair, like, to me, that still is like, you got to take it 100 times out of 100. When you still have this much talent on the roster, when you still have extended Barr. Like, remember when this signing first went down?
Oh, I won't be able to sign anyone.
That was it, you'd have to, well, which one do you want to lose? Barr or, and all of those guys.
All 4.
Yes, all of them have stayed, and the guys that we did wind up losing were dudes like Easton and Compton, and I feel like that is a fair trade, and I'm okay with that. And I am, at this point, going to give them, because of the new scheme, the benefit of the doubt on bringing in new guys or drafting guys. Because maybe it's not that I'm trying to say Tony Sperano wasn't good at it, or that Zimmer's not good at it, or Spielman's not good at it. But if Kubiak and his dudes are coming in to be like, this is the guy, this is what we look for in offensive linemen, yeah, man, then they have to be better at it than they have been, right? You would assume. So I feel like they can still be good enough to get the Vikings where they need to go. It doesn't look like it now, and it scares the crap out of me. But
I think you have to go back to the scheme thing and look at when the Vikings offensive line has been the worst. It was when Norv Turner was running the offense and quarterbacks were having to drop back 19 steps before they threw a pass. And then, with DiFilippo's offense, when just everything was pass. So there wasn't any run game to throw people off.
Yes, which again was the same thing where you're dropping back and guys know you're dropping back. And that was the same thing with Norv's offense. The
offensive line they had their most success when Shurmur was the offensive coordinator. And that's because he figured out a way to, make their weaknesses not as glaring. Mm-hmm. So I think Kubiak and Stefanski will be able to figure that out.
I think so too.
I have confidence. It is, what is it? March? Yeah, it is. It is March.
It is March.
It's a long way to go.
Long way to go. A lot of things can happen. A lot of changes. A lot of moves. We could trade. We restructure. There's all kinds of different things that could
There's
happen.
Been a lot of trades. So.
It's been an insane offseason. Speaking of that, Odell Beckham Jr. traded to Cleveland. What do you make of that? And
Speaking of Shurmur, I feel really bad for him.
Dude, I heard him on the radio not too long ago, and he kind of gave I think he was leading the charge. I think he was like, this isn't my type of guy.
Well, then he's an idiot.
I mean...
It's like
football coaches make weird decisions because they want guys who believe, and when you have a dude like that who obviously isn't going to buy him,
not only did they trade him, they got like horrible compensation for him.
Yep.
That was basically just like the second coming of the Randy Moss trade when they traded him to the Raiders. I felt like I'm just like, really? Like you just traded, and they owe. I think they're gonna. It's like $20 million or $16 million on their cap. Beckham's going to take up this year, and he's not even on the roster.
Unbelievable.
They drafted a running back last year when they had so many quarterbacks to choose from.
And the GM goes out today and says that Eli is not overpriced and is not washed. It's like, oh, guy, you're just ruining it. You're doing it the worst way.
I wrote something a couple of days ago about how the Giants are the worst franchise in the NFL right now, just because of basically who their GM is, who only probably has that job from his work in Carolina, which was pretty much inheriting players that they already had on their roster before he got there, and then them succeeding under him, so it made him look like he actually knew what he was doing, but it's clear that he doesn't.
I don't understand how you can be building a team and so obviously avoid...
They just signed him to an extension.
That's what I'm saying. And so obviously avoid the important moves that everybody does. You have a franchise player. He's your best player. He's your best offensive player. You lock him up. Even if you're in a rebuilding process. Because, I understand the argument that, they're going to be rebuilding, and Beckham isn't going to like that, and he's probably going to throw a stink. And they just
rebuilding. They've had one winning season in the past 5.
Well, and they just saw. I think, honest to God, I think they saw what happened in Pittsburgh, and I think that they did not want any of that. We'll take what we can get now, because if he throws a stink, Odell Beckham, and we're going to get a third-round pick for it,
which he never has been that kind of player.
It's true.
So the only thing he's complained about is stuff that has to do with on the field,
as a tough time with kicking nets. But you can work around that.
He's a receiver. Obviously, he's going to want the ball.
Yeah,
and he knows he's good, so he's going to want the ball in his hands. And for the I just think the Giants are so dumb. What do you? If you're a Giants fan, what do you have to look forward to next year?
Literally nothing. The draft. Honest to God, the draft.
So you can take another running back,
and that's over a year away.
They're going to take someone like DK Metcalf, and he's not going to be good.
Mm-hmm. Not have anybody throwing the ball.
And they're going to pass.
Eli's just going to play till he's.
They're going to pass. Kyler Murray is going to be available for them, and they're going to pass on him. because, he wasn't the guy they wanted. And Eli's, the plan moving forward.
Oh, man. It just, how can you look at that team and make those decisions? It truly is shocking to me. The Odell Beckham thing, I can at least understand why, in a frightened, panicked sense, you would be like, okay, let's trade him to get what we can get. But, the rest of everything that's going on there is just, I can't jive with it. Don't get it. Don't understand. What else?
It just you signed him to an extension last year. You committed to him,
literally said in the press conference.
If you don't,
we did not sign him to trade him.
Yeah,
what he said
2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks ago. You ruin part of the future, your ability to build for the future by trading someone who just signed an extension because of the amount of money you still owe him. So
and you're basically, and poor Pat Shurmur, he goes out there to get,
they got Odell.
Totally get settled in. We got some weapons. This is going to be great. And he winds up with a running back, and then all of his best players are gone, and he's going to get destroyed for 2 years and then get fired.
I find it very hard to believe that Shurmur didn't want Odell on his team because he's very, 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 very good. I think Gettleman had a lot to do with it. I think he worked under Coughlin a lot. So
I completely agree with that.
Those two are
the interview I heard with him, Adam. They were asking him about Odell Beckham.
Yeah.
He was like, he's okay. I was like,
okay.
that's not. I was like, that's not an endorsement.
Hey,
that's not what I heard.
I'd be happy for Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, dude, super happy for him, and also super happy for the Cleveland Browns fan who was crying when he got the news, because that makes me feel so happy.
Because they won no games 2 years ago.
Exactly. And they just got Odell Beckham.
They had a parade after they won their first game.
Dude,
last year.
Congratulations to that guy.
Congratulations
to all Browns fans.
They had all those beer fridges.
Yeah, and they got to open them, but not right away. It took a little while. Yeah, dude, Cleveland Browns. Congratulations on being relevant and excited. And that's a great feeling, man. Congrats. It's awesome.
They have the 5th highest Super Bowl odds now?
Yeah. The Browns. It still is hard for me to put together contenders. Sure, from Cleveland.
They should. Baker Mayfield's good. They just got Richardson. They just got Odell Beckham.
Mm-hmm.
They got some good players on their defense. The teams in their division are not on the way up.
It's hard to suck for that long in the NFL with the amount of draft picks that you get. Those high picks, great players. It's hard to be that bad.
They did a pretty good job at it.
They were awesome at being that bad. They were incredible at being that.
Remember, the Bengals in the 90s, how they sucked every year.
I was thinking, what other team has sucked? Oh, I guess the Lions for a stretch were in the no-win territory. Bills, great point. Who else? That's basically
no one wants to play for the Bills, so it doesn't matter anyways. People get pissed.
Poor folks over there.
Going off task or whatever, but related to the Bills, can you name their highest paid player on their roster? Because it's a place where players want to be and free agents come to sign. I don't know why everyone gives it a bad rap.
Oh, man. I have no idea who their highest paid player is.
Star Lutulele.
Who?
Right. He's a defensive tackle.
Wow.
I think he makes $50 million.
And he's their highest paid player.
Yep.
They got some issues in Buffalo right now.
No, everyone wants to go there.
It's important that we don't say bad things about Buffalo on the podcast because we will hear about them later on.
I won't take this portion of the podcast and post it.
God, no. You'd
never
do
that.
Anything like that.
No.
How long have we? 50 minutes. Closing remarks. 10 minutes. Closing remarks. Do you got anything?
We kind of already talked about it, but just going back to, not freaking out about the Vikings not overspending on offensive linemen or seeing all these offensive linemen leave that were okay, because they have guys on their roster. They do have guys on their roster. Mm-hmm. They're a lot of unknowns. They're young guys. Not a whole lot has been seen of them playing on the actual football field. So those guys could be put in there. They get guys from the draft, and it's really about the offense, like the play calling. It really is.
Yep.
I don't know how many times people are never going to understand this. There's people out there that are just going to be like, it doesn't matter. You have to sign like 19 offensive linemen before I'm happy. Well, but
no, you're totally right. And that was going to be, you nailed it. And this was going to be my closing remark today was because of the scheme change, you can't, and I can't, and they can't, and we can't. Nobody can tell me that they're going to be awful. You don't know.
Yeah.
They're getting a new system. You don't know if these guys are going to be good in this system. You don't know if they're going to be bad. I mean, it's possible they could be way worse than we imagine. But you cannot with any certainty tell me that this offensive line is going to be terrible as it stands right now because you don't know that. We don't know that. So that was going to be mine was chill out. We don't know yet. And that's okay. And there's a lot of time, training camp cuts, guys coming. I mean, there's time to make moves. It's going to be okay.
They made a trade before during training camp last year. Mm-hmm. So could do that again.
You can do all kinds of different things. And lest we forget, Spielman has been known to make some trades on draft day.
A few.
So it's possible that in a couple of weeks, couple of months, we're not even really that concerned about the offensive line. That's inaccurate. We'll definitely be concerned. I'm sorry. That was too much. I went too far there. I went too far.
Jim Gaffigan over here.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
Jim Gaffigan.
Maybe I have one other thing that like spending. People keep criticizing how this team is built around defense. Mm-hmm. And the league is heading towards everything's on offense, and it's like. The score in the Super Bowl was 13-3, so I think defense still gets the job done. There are certain teams, offense is doing great for them, Chiefs, Rams, but when it comes down to it, you give a defensive coach a little extra time to prepare. Usually, he's going to come out on top.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was just going to with Chiefs. Rams, all these high-powered offenses, what happened in the games that they lost? They didn't score as much because a good defense stopped them, and they lost. And if that's the way you want to build your team, that's a totally practical way to do it. It does frustrate me when people, wow, that's old. Defense first and running the ball, that doesn't make any sense because look at how good they are at throwing the ball. And it's like you can have both.
Well, look at the Ravens. They ran the ball 60% of the time, almost 70% of the time last year, and they made the playoffs for the rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
So
you can do it all kinds of different ways, and I feel like NFL fans in particular are definitely slaves of the moment.
Trendy and stuff.
Yes, there's so much recency bias involved with.
You go back and look at zone read stuff and Wildcat.
Dude, Wildcat is the first one that comes to mind is what is the NFL going to do?
What are we going to do? And then a year later, after everyone was able to watch tape for a whole offseason, there you go. Let's figure it out.
Totally. And this offensive, I guess it's an easy argument for people to make because there are so many rules changing that allow offenses to be more successful. So it's easy to think that you can, by adding on the offensive end, that's an advantage to you. But I feel like it is kind of, I don't know,
let's not act like
you look at
the Vikings. Let's not act like the Vikings have a bad offense either.
Yeah. They're not great.
Probably the top wide receiver duo in the NFL. A very good young running back in Dalvin Cook. Kyle Rudolph's pretty good. It's not amazing, but he's pretty good. Kirk Cousins, pretty good. He can get the job done.
And if you eliminate
they're not the Dolphins.
Fumbles, interception, pick sixes, the horrible, catastrophic turnovers that we saw early in the season. And, then all of a sudden your offense looks a little bit better. Then all of a sudden your confidence, it's not.
They didn't have an amazing offense last year because of who was calling the plays.
Yeah.
It wasn't because of the players they had.
I think they have more than enough talent to be successful.
Oh, yeah.
Offense. That's a great place to end it. They have more than enough talent to be successful on offense.
Right.
God dang it. Do you have anything else that you would like to add? Any promotional items? Do you have any updates of any kind?
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think we're good. We'll just next week we'll talk about the next great Vikings re-signing Aldrick Robinson or something like that.
Yeah, buddy. Gonna be sick. Amir Abdullah, Aldrick Robinson. It's just gonna be
Super
the bomb.
Bowl!
And then dude. And then the draft is gonna be 8 offensive linemen. And get back to me. Be good to go.
Be great.
All right, bud. See you next week. Let's go Vikes.
Oh yeah.